things start looking over.
Welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vasic. You can find me on X at hashtag Kangas, Instagram, hashtag Kangaroos Podcast. Also live on YouTube now, so you can feel free and ask some questions to the lovely Jasmine Ferguson. Now, today, I do welcome the very special guest in the girl that has been the backbone of our AFLW backbone the last few years. And in her own words, before we started, she said this, and I quote, the most talented Jasmine at the club. Jasmine Ferguson, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I would love to claim that title, but I know Jazzy Garner is pretty fantastic. But I do always hope I might score a few extra votes here and there if they might get us confused, but it hasn't happened so far. Maybe one day.
Oh, she doesn't get many votes anyway from the umpires, so
That is true.
yeah, I'll see what happens this year. I think Ash Riddell might steal a few off her this year, but
who was also a fantastic player. So.
Oh, look, yeah. I mean, they're a great duo, that's for sure, in the midfield,
100%.
and we'll talk more about that soon. But let's get straight into it. And we just finished the home and away season. You girls must be very proud of your achievements so far in going undefeated for the year. A percentage of 313 and only one draw as a minor blemish. Winning the minor premiership, but I feel like, Jazz, that there is some unfinished business.
Yeah, I think obviously the season's been fantastic and we've done really well at celebrating those wins. But obviously last year, we had a pretty good season last year too, and it got all the way to the end and we couldn't quite finish off our work. So we've put a lot of effort in this year of even some of those wins, learning from them, reviewing them, and kind of just trying to get that one better. So I think even some of those tight wins or even the draw especially, we did treat almost as a loss to try and really continue to grow our knowledge and grow our game, because obviously we want to try and take that one step further, and it comes down to little things, little details. So an undefeated season, feels fantastic, and we have celebrated, as I said, those little wins along the way, but we have unfinished business and we want to go one better in the finals coming up.
Just going back to that Geelong game, now it's a long time ago now. Was that a little bit of a reality check? Did you feel like you went away from the things that worked so well in round one after an impressive start against Brisbane where you smashed the reigning premiers by 50-odd points up on their home turf?
Yeah, we definitely didn't go into that game not expecting Geelong to come out and play. Like, we actually really quite respect Geelong. We love the way they play and we have had some really good battles against them. So I don't think it was in terms of our preparation coming into the game that we were underprepared, but we did probably just lose a little bit of our gameplay during that game. Geelong made us play really skinny and we just didn't get our ball movement going, and obviously, nullified the game to the point that it was a draw. So we probably, we're on a high from that round one. I don't think we went into it getting, I guess, too complacent, but it was somewhat of a reality check that if we don't play our best footy, teams can really take it up to us. And we were probably, very fortunate not to lose that game as well.
I mean, looking at that now, are you a bit surprised Geelong has missed finals? They've beaten Brisbane. They've drawn against us, the two grand finals from last year. I'm a bit shocked about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm probably shocked, I guess, around Geelong and Melbourne both missing out in finals. They've obviously been powerhouses over the last couple of seasons, and two teams that we do a lot of preparation for, just knowing that they've got some fantastic players as a part of their teams. And I guess that's kind of just how the AFLW draw goes. I think each year you see some teams get maybe a somewhat of a tougher draw and an easier draw. And I think both of those teams had injuries to a lot of their key players throughout the season and probably at key moments as well. And I guess, again, it's down to the fact that the AFLW season is so short that someone might miss a couple games and it actually takes out a really big chunk of their season. So, it's really important to kind of every week, every game's important as such. Like you've just got to come out and play every single week. Otherwise you can drop from, the top right down and missing out on finals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a condensed season as well. I mean, 11 games and we kind of put 3 in 1 week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't afford to have any like flat performances, can you? Like in the men's program, if you have a flat performance, all right, there's still another 16, 17 weeks to go. You can afford to drop one. But with the women's, you've got to go, you're pretty much sprinting in a marathon, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's what I guess the season is. It's like it feels so surreal that it's already finished. The 11 games has been and gone already. So you really just have to be in the moment, put a lot of effort into the 6 months that the season goes for. And as you said, if you slip and you lose one game, it can actually make a really, really big difference. Like obviously, even I guess Adelaide, who are a powerhouse, were almost missing that top four just because they'd had a slip up against Melbourne. So those kind of, again, those finer details can make a really big difference to where you finish on the ladder and then where you're placed for finals as well.
And let's be blunt, we always get the toughest draw every year, so we always seem to play the top teams. We go to Casey Fields every year, we go to Brisbane, we go to Adelaide. Yeah, so I know. But I'll tell you what, in the first 6 weeks, though, Jasmine, you probably agree with this, we had the best conditions at Casey Fields. We played in some shocking conditions, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it was funny. We just couldn't really catch a break there for a while. We had I guess extreme heat almost up in Brisbane, which ended up being one of the more of the favourable conditions compared to some of the torrential rain we got. But we had it was a joke that was going around the club that we didn't want to play in any dry weather. But I think it was good for us to again show that resilience and to keep kind of adjusting our style of gameplay. I think we're obviously known as a team that has good skills and can have really good ball movement, but you also want to be known as a team that can just get shit done as such, play in the wet, win the contest, get the ball forward. So it was almost a blessing in disguise, even though, yes, our boots are all probably still wet from, I think, round 3 to 6 or whatever it was when we had lots of rain.
I mean, do you remember the third quarter against Port Adelaide?
Yes, I don't think I've ever been so cold.
Or was that the worst conditions you've ever played with?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely the worst conditions I've ever been. I don't remember that freezing cold because you'd just come off half time. I don't reckon I could see more than 10 metres in front of me just because this rain and I felt like hail was coming in sideways. So I think that quarter of footy was pretty much just wiped out. I don't think we reviewed it very much because I don't really know what else you really could have done in that kind of gameplay.
No, and the wind was really chilly. That was it was blowing towards our defensive end. The ball seemed to just be going straight to the forward pocket, no matter where you kicked it. So that was something different. That was that day. And in those 3 games in 8 days, we pretty much had all wet conditions. I mean, we finished in Tassie with a downpour as well, didn't we? And it resulted in an injury, didn't it?
Yes, obviously that condensed fixture is something that's been spoken about a lot this year. And from my, I guess, personal opinion, I don't mind the AFL, I guess, trying different things. I think obviously the AFL women's side of it does need to grow, and we need to try and find a way to keep getting people to come and watch and come and view the game. So I don't mind a bit of like chop and change and just trying different things, but it was a lot this year. And as players, I think the whole consensus from the group that it just opened yourselves up to injury. I found it personally, again, hard with work as well. So I don't really love the midweek games, but I don't mind them trying different things and seeing what they can do to help us grow the game.
Yeah, of course. But, I don't understand why you can't just extend it by a week or 2 in December as well. I mean, you don't have to finish 1st of December. You could finish 8th of December or something like that, or, the season. It's not that close to Christmas where everyone's going to go away or something like that. So, but that's a whole other topic, Jazz. We'll focus on the positives. What have been some of the highlights so far this year for you?
I think my highlights probably go back to earlier in the season. I think we flagged obviously the first couple games as, I guess, really important games for us in terms of coming up against teams that we've had trouble with in the past or that we know are a quality outfit. So that first win up in Brisbane was probably the highlight of my season. It was just so nice to be able to get out there and put, I guess, the however many months that we had in between the grand final and that game, and we just went out there and played, and we played with a lot of freedom and a lot of confidence, which was really nice to see. And then again, I guess that Geelong game was a bit of a down, but then we responded really well against Melbourne, who we all think are a really quality outfit as well. So to be able to kind of have a bit of an up-down to those first couple of weeks, but to really put some solid performances out there, I think they were definitely the highlights for me, just to see how well we can play our good footy and then respond from maybe a bit of a tougher week in round 2 as well.
It's a long 6 months, isn't it? From the last game in the grand final to the round 1, isn't it? Like there is a lot of fuel during pre-season. It's a long 6 months, that period when you lose a grand final to round 1, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just a long time to sit there. Like it's just something that you just can't get away from thinking of. All those little things, those that bounce that just went the wrong way, or those just small moments that happened, and you just get really caught up in those. I think Croc and the coaching staff did very well at kind of keeping us grounded and not trying to almost fuel that round 1 game as be all end all, if that makes sense. Like we weren't going into that being like, oh my God, if we don't win this, it's all, the season's gone. Like we went into that game with a pretty level-headed that we obviously wanted to put a good performance out there against a team that had taken the cup against us. But it was, about putting the process in place for the season. It wasn't actually 6 months of just thinking about that round 1 game. So we did very well at keeping level-headed going into that.
Yeah, and that's I know Darren Crocker is very big on processing and being in the moment, taking 1 week at a time. The old coach's cliche.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what his message was and what the message was from the coaching group on Saturday about how to get yourself up for the game against the Gold Coast Suns, who are near the bottom of the ladder and have nothing to play for. Was it just about keeping those standards that we set and not getting too ahead of ourselves?
Yeah, definitely. As you kind of said, Croc is very big with the cliche. So it was, again, just down to our process and not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves. We didn't want to be like thinking about finals as such at that point. We wanted to get the job done. So we really like to kind of split our season up in terms of we've got the home and away season, and finals is almost like a different season. So we kind of obviously have the goal of getting to finals and doing well in finals, but it's about each week getting the process done. And against a team that I guess had nothing to lose, it's really important that you go into that game wanting to be organised, wanting to get the details right, because they could come out and all guns blazing. I think even a game that I saw from the weekend, GWS had nothing to lose against Port and really pushed them. So I think some of those teams that, their season's done, but they want to go out with a bang. So we really focused on the week, making it a really important game for us and a really important game to put everything in place so we have a good final series off the back of that.
No, that sounds good. Now, there's a lot of pressure now, I guess, that you are expected to win the flag and are heavy favourites. How do you handle the weight sometimes on a personal level and maybe at a team level as well?
Yeah, I think at a team level, it's again we've tried to really keep it's very much process driven. It's very about every game that we come up against, every training, every day we're there to get better and we're there to learn. We're learn to grow as a team, individuals, just get better. So we've been really, really focused on not letting, I guess, external media or expectations really weigh down on us as a group. Yes, you hear them and you listen to them and stuff, but we've really tried to, I guess as a leadership group, staff group, and then as a playing group, really try to drive home with our players that it's just about week by week, keep playing our footy. If we play our footy in our way and we bring what we want to bring, we are an unstoppable team. We just need to get it right, and how to obviously adjust off that if it's not going quite our way as well. So and we don't, I guess, again, don't want to completely shy away from the fact that there's a bit of pressure there. I think pressure is sometimes quite good. I think a lot of our players actually perform quite well when there is that little bit of pressure. So we're happy to lean into that and go in favourites, but know that we've got a lot of work and it's a process still to get where we want to go.
No, that sounds really positive, and just start focusing on little things and taking it one step at a time, almost. Now, I feel like you talk about processes and stuff like that, but I feel like in some games the opposition has almost been intimidated by us. Do you feel that on the football field this year, that teams almost play with the fear and low self-belief that they can't get anywhere near us and almost look lost in the game, that they just try and go in self-preservation mode and let's just minimise the damage?
Yeah, I think it's something we've spoken about and we spoke about coming into this season as well, is that we want to leave, I guess, impressions on teams when they come up to, when they're due to play against us, that we already have a little bit of a kind of upper hand on them, that we've almost, from our performances from the week before, from our culture, from our team environment, that they're coming up against us and they are almost a little bit nervous of what kind of pressure we're going to bring. So we've done a lot of work on creating that impression that we're going to come out and we're going to hit hard and we're going to put teams under pressure, and it does actually help give you that almost that mental ledger before you go into the game. And then obviously if we can execute early in the game, which is what we have spoken about a lot of the time, is really coming out in that first quarter and treating that as like a really, really important quarter for us. It puts teams on the back foot straight away. So you're almost leaving them stunned and trying to figure out what else they can do, as you said, to minimize damage. And I guess we do see some teams try and, I guess, tag some of our players to see if they can minimise their efforts. But I think that's what's been so nice to see this year, is that we've got so many different contributors from every line, like especially our forward line. You've seen one week Kate Sheila kick 5 goals, but then last week Alice O'Loughlin kicked 4 goals. So it's been nice to see that, like, if the team does put effort into some one player, we've got so many different avenues to score and then to, I guess, accumulate the ball as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of weapons up forward. I think I mentioned this last night to Claire Cozzy. I think, Kate Shear's kicked 15, Elisa Loughlin's kicked 14, Jasmine Garner's kicked 13, Randall's kicked 12, leads the league in goal assists as well. And that's another thing. I mean, they're very unselfish forwards. They're happy to pass it off to players in a better position to definitely get that goal. And I think that's what really makes a quality team. It's about the we, not the me.
Yeah, well, we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years. It's something that was one of our biggest downfalls was our ability to score. We were able to get the ball inside 50, but then weren't putting enough scoreboard pressure on teams. So we actually have done a lot of work over a number of seasons, and especially coming into this season of getting quality shots and making sure that we aren't, I guess, kicking out from too far, but working together. So we've done a lot of work on our inside 50 kicks and how to kick it to our tolls advantages, and then for how our smalls or our midfield then get to their feet and how we work on that. And it's been really nice for that then to be spread, I guess, the workload as well. We don't want to be a team that relies on one style of ball movement or one player to kick our goals. We want to be able to spread the load, so then it makes it a lot harder for teams to come up against us. And as I said, only shut down one player, someone else is going to get on the scoreboard as well. So it's been nice to see that reward for all of our forwards.
And it must give you girls great confidence, like behind the ball, that the girls up forward, they can kick goals, but they can kick goals quickly. We can pile on. There's been a number of games this year where we've piled on 3, 4, 5 goals in the space of 10 minutes, and it's been game over pretty much since then.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you girls great confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's been nice to see that we can put that scoreboard pressure on, and that even if it's not quite going our way, I think even the first quarter on the weekend, I think even Gold Coast scored first. So and that doesn't, I guess, scare us necessarily, because we know if we just keep going to our processes, we keep all playing our roles, we keep running our patterns, keep getting it inside 50, I guess the wall's going to break at some point if we just keep putting that pressure on. So it's been nice to see that then we can get on a bit of a roll. And I guess I said the first quarter on the weekend was an example of that. I think we kicked 3 goals at the end of the quarter in the last 5 minutes or something. So you can see that it doesn't have to come straight away. You can sometimes just have to chip away at it. And if you do keep chipping away at it and don't go away from what our system is, we can actually put quite a few goals on in a small space of time.
Do you ever get frustrated as a player? Like, I'll go back to the Essendon game. Now, we piled it on, the pressure on early, and to me, they look like, now I talked about intimidation and almost lacking a lot of confidence, that they knew the game was gone early, and they just flooded numbers back straight away to almost minimise the loss. I mean, Libby Birch, were almost having a cup of coffee and a chat in the centre square because they put no one up there. Is that a little bit frustrating that teams aren't coming at you, or you don't really worry about that?
Obviously, it's not something that we speak about and we dive, I guess, into a lot of detail about. I think from personal point of view, I think it's something that I would like to see as a competition, that we don't go to that. I think there was another game against the Doggies and the Doggies and Essendon that obviously was just a bit of a shit show, really. Like, it just wasn't a good quality game, and they've obviously admitted that. So it just is something that obviously is a competition. We want to be able to score more, and we want to show our scoring prowess as a girls' competition in general. And I think there's some teams that just make that a little bit tricky in terms of they do just flood numbers back and they try and put 2 or 3 behind the ball, and then they have no one to kick to. So it becomes kind of like that slingshot game. So I think personal point of view, it's just something that I'd like to see the whole competition try and grow at, and just continue for teams to focus on attacking rather than trying not to lose by 30 points.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like in a lot of our games. A lot of teams are sort of focusing on that. Oh, we don't want to damage our percentage too much or anything like that. So, but I guess a lot of teams don't have the talent as much as probably the top 3 or 4.
It does make it hard. Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, look, I think Bulldogs came in for harsh criticism. That game against Essendon, because the week after Essendon did the same, pretty much a worse thing, I felt like. And the Western Bulldogs have been quite good after that. I think they kicked 70 points in a game about 2 weeks later. So
and that's what you want to see.
Yeah, and they don't have the talent. They've got a lot of young girls coming through. They lost Ali Blackburn through injury as well, so a star player for their team. So I mean, if you win 20-18 or something like that, no one's going to say anything. But if you lose 18-6 or something like that, then everyone jumps up and down. So I'm not too worried as long as you win. I mean that's the bottom line. It's a wins and losses based industry, I guess. Now, on a personal level, I spoke about this a bit with you off the air. Now, you had an interrupted pre-season, broken wrist playing netball, and a concussion, I think, against the Giants, you were saying. It wasn't smooth sailing for you in the pre-season, was it?
Yeah, I think I again said this to you off air. It was almost feeling like, it's going to be one of those seasons where it's just one thing after another, and it keeps kind of, I guess, piling up. But I was very, very fortunate that both of those injuries were quite minimal. We have fantastic medical staff at our at North, so they do a lot of work to kind of look after you and make sure that you have the smoothest transition back to full contact and full training. So I was very fortunate that both kept me on the sidelines for a very small amount of time. And I guess, I put in a bit of work as well to try and then minimize putting myself in those situations where something could happen in terms of injury again. Obviously, there's injuries that are unavoidable, but I think, I definitely tried to put a bit of work in the gym, get a bit more strength on, and then work with the medical staff as well, just to make sure I can have a bit more of a smooth sailing in towards in the season after that.
No, I mean, wrists can be quite tricky. I've sprained my wrist a few times, and that's quite painful. I can only imagine a break. I mean, what was the rehab like with that anyway?
I was pretty. Oh, I guess if you're going to do an injury, it's good to do it well. So, I actually ended up, breaking 2 bones pretty cleanly. So, it was almost a good thing that I'd done it to that extent, because it just meant I needed to go in for an operation and get them fixed, rather than being almost in that awkward stage where they could have put them back in place and then let them heal. So I was almost fortunate enough to do a pretty decent job. So went in for surgery not long after I did the injury, and then I was only a week in plaster, came out and had a bit of a splint after that. And then it was just integration back into skills as my hand almost recovered. So it was a bit stiff for a little bit after, and I lost obviously a little bit of strength, which looked quite funny when one arm was a lot smaller than the other. But it was just about, getting back into the gym, doing some light stuff. And then I had a training splint that I then wore and trained in. And it was about doing non-contact, doing some handballs, getting some load into my hand, doing some marking, getting some confidence back. It was pretty smooth sailing once I was kind of back into full contact. It was just back into full training and full drills. And it only ended up very small amount. It was only about 3 or 4 weeks rehab in the end.
Yeah, so if you're going to do it, I suppose it's best to do it at the start of pre-season, because you can still run.
Yes.
So, and that's what a lot of pre-season is. How's that conversation when you had to make that call to the coaching staff, and especially Darren Crocker? A bit nervous?
I was very nervous. I spoke to my doctor first, and she was very cool, calm and collected. And then she obviously spoke to me about, had to pass on the message, which was a bit nerve-wracking. And it was something that I completely own, and I owned it to my teammates, all the staff as well. I owned that it was a mistake that I had made, that I guess, decision to go and play a bit of netball. It was just that I was missing that competitive side. When I think it's something that a lot of us girls miss when we have such a long off season, is you just miss playing sport. You miss that competitive side to games. And it was obviously something that I was just wanted to go out there and have a bit of fun, and obviously learnt my lesson from that. But yes, it was a bit of a nerve-wracking call calling Croc, and it is a bit of a joke around the club now. I got a fair bit of stick from it, and I got a few fines from it, a bit of money that I had to pay, which is all fun and games, and I don't mind it. I do quite like it. But yes, my netball background is something that I get a fair bit of shit for around the club, which is very funny.
Well, I've heard you're quite a good netballer. I think you've even mentioned that before. Last time I had you on, you played at Hawthorn. Is that right?
I played for the Hawthorn Netball Club in the VNL. Didn't ever quite make it to top level, but played quite a few representative teams and played at still quite a high level for a few years there, and then just found it quite difficult, like a lot of athletes do, to manage kind of both sports. So did have to make the decision that footy was obviously my main choice, but I just couldn't fully say bye to it, and wanted to have a few games here and there. And yes, it is now retired. The netball runners have been put in the cupboard, and I'm just sticking to the footy boots now.
So is that like a no that you can't play netball? Have they pretty much said no netball?
No. It's more of a conversation around, like, you can see, like, Mon Conti is obviously still playing basketball in her off season as well. So it's definitely not a no. It's just something that you obviously have to talk a bit more about with the club, and see if you can manage it. I think there might be some clubs out there that might say no, but it's obviously club by club basis and what they want. It was just something that I decided with the club that it was something that I was happy to now kind of put away and really focus on my footy. But there's definitely athletes out there that still try and manage both, but it does get quite difficult, I would say, at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the 90s when I played cricket, I played a couple of games with Shannon Grant, ex-footballer, and he bowled, I think it was 10 overs, and then went to train the next day, and he complained he had a sore shoulder. And they asked him how he did it, and he said, I playing cricket. He said, "You're not playing anymore." So we never saw him again. So yeah, it's funny. Some clubs can be really strict with that. I
Yes.
think it's changed. It's a bit more flexible now because you can't just be football, football, football.
Yeah.
Because you burn yourself out pretty quick if you just
Mhm.
focus on the one thing. So
Yes.
yeah, but we'll move forward. You also elevated to a leadership group this year, so congratulations on that. And no surprises there from me, because anyone that watches you closely sees that you communicate and are a natural leader out there. Has your role changed much this year from previous seasons?
I think more of the I think the more of the change for me has been kind of more off-field leadership in terms of, as you said, my position is very tailored towards being a leader in the backline. It's just a part of being the fullback is help setting up the backline, setting up midfield, communication obviously between the lines as well. So in terms of on-field stuff, I don't feel like it's changed the way I play a lot. It was something that I had already taken on board to be somewhat of that leader in the back line. So that side of it has been, I guess, pretty smooth, which has been nice. It's a smooth transition. I think it's been more for me that off-field, noticing how kind of, I guess, how training's going, keeping the vibes up, how everyone's staying connected, the connection between staff and players, and then vice versa as well. Making sure if anyone needs any assistance, like reaching out like that. So that side to it, and how to, I guess, show my qualities in terms of leadership from the more off-field perspective is something that I've had to really work on. And I think something that is never, there's no real end goal to it as such. It's something that you just keep adjusting, and you keep growing and learning from that point of view. So I'm excited to kind of put into effect what I've learned from this year, and hopefully keep growing my leadership off-field, on-field into future as well.
So is that something like, there's obviously a leadership group, yourself, Bailey, Eddie, Emma Carney, and a number of others. Libby Birch, I think, is in it this year as well. Now, there's going to be probably a tough decision to make in the coming weeks. If Emma Carney comes back in, there's going to be a player that probably misses out. That's going to be really unfortunate unless there's injuries. Is that something that you girls have got to go to this player and sort of let them know and let them down? And I suppose that's where you've got to use your communication skills.
Yeah, I think obviously it comes mainly from coaching staff in terms of the match committee side of things. So that doesn't come necessarily from us as a leadership group, but it is obviously our responsibility to keep, I guess, driving that we are a one group mentality, if that makes sense. So like that every single one of us on the list has a really, really important role to play in our team success. And it's not just the ones that are selected each week to play. It is every single player that rocks up to training, does their gym, does everything that everyone else is doing. It's going to take every single one of us to hopefully lift that premiership cup. So yes, there's going to be a really tough decision in the next couple of weeks, but if you want to be a good team, there has to be those tough decisions. So we've really been big on, as a group this year, knowing that if it's one player out, one player in, you just play your role. You step up when you're needed. Everyone's going to be required at some point, even if it's for, as we said, training standards. If it's for game, if it's every single player on our list is needed. So yes, coming into finals, we'll just try and keep making sure that every single player understands their role and what they can bring to the team, so we can have the most team success as much as possible.
And I think your washing's done, by the way, too, Jay. So. No, all good. What about playing-wise on the field? You had a new addition to the back line in Libby Birch, who has been outstanding, by the way. But I had Sarah Wright on a few weeks back, and she said her role has changed a little from last season. She's pushed further up the field and almost been a third man up in a lot of contests. Has your role changed much this year?
Yeah, I think my role has probably slightly changed. I think obviously last year, me and Righty were kind of the two of the taller players in the back line, and then we had Liz Shannon too. And we were kind of, I guess, taking more of those more dominant forwards in the last couple of seasons, whereas Libby coming in this year has freed Ryder to go up and play a bit higher, and then it's also then allowed me to play a little bit deeper and hold that deeper role, whereas last season I did have to come up a bit more on some of those more link up forwards. So we've been also brought in a fantastic addition. As you said, Libby's a great player, but then also just a great person to have around the club. She's got fantastic experience, a wealth of finals experience, grand final experience. She's a fantastic player. So it's been really nice to bring that in to the fold as well. So it has slightly changed where I kind of start and who I'm playing on, but I think it's allowed us as a backline group to work into our strengths. So that's what's been so nice, is that she's fitted in so seamlessly that it just works as a really good unit now as well. So she's a fantastic interceptor. Righty can now come, as you said, come off and try and fly and go third man up, whereas I can hopefully lock down the back and be that deepest defender. So it's been really nice to see how well she's slotted in and how well it works to all of our strengths.
Yeah, I think I had Ballarity on, and she's always looking at ways to improve her game. She's always communicating with coaches about one-on-one contests and so forth. Yeah, she's quite the professional, and yeah, she's been a great addition and almost gone back to the All-Australian form of a couple of years ago when she was at Melbourne. We also had another addition this year in Vicky Wall back to the club. She's quite a tough player, isn't she?
Oh, I love Vicky Wall. As everyone knows, she's a bit of a brick wall down there. She's a fantastic player to have back. We obviously probably did miss her when she wasn't here for those seasons. Just the amount of forward pressure she brings, how much she cracks in. But I guess what a lot of people wouldn't see is just the professionalism that she brings to the club as well. She's someone who in the gym, is probably lifting 20 kilos heavier than any of us, and it's just so nice to see how much drive she has. And I think the experience she gained from her rugby background that she's been away training really hard at, it's been nice for her to bring back and I guess impose on us as well. Just the standards, how much effort you have to put in to get the success out of it. So it's been really nice to have her back, one on the field, as you can obviously see she's a fantastic player, but obviously off field as well. Like I just explained, the professionalism, her effort, her want to get better, and her way that she then brings everybody along with her has been fantastic.
I mean, just on that, all the Irish girls, they've only been playing, like Erica O'Shea's probably, I think, third or fourth season. Neve Martin, second season. Vicky Wall, second season. Are you surprised how quickly they've picked up the game?
I guess the skill side of things they seem to pick up really quickly, and obviously you can still see that they have their little Irish flair throughout, the way that they bounce the ball, the way they kick the ball as well, which is still nice to see. But in terms of the girls that we have in our club, I don't think it's that much of a surprise to me. I see how much effort they put in to go and learn. They do a lot of one-on-one vision. They do a lot of extras. They do, I reckon, probably more than most of us do out on the track in terms of just trying to get that little bit better. And obviously it being somewhat of a more foreign game to them, I think they feel almost obliged. They have to put in that little bit more effort. So I am definitely not surprised that some of those girls have picked it up so quickly and had such good success in our team, is because they put in the work to get that outcome. And obviously we've got Blaheen that's come on this year, and I've seen her from when she first came here to where she is now. It's ridiculous to see how much she's improved, and I think how much she will continue to improve as well. She's got a very lethal sidestep, so I've been playing on her quite a fair bit of training too, and it's just those Irish girls are just so quick. So it's so nice to see them grow each week pretty much when they come over to this system.
Yes, I've seen she's been emergency a few times. I'm glad you pronounced her name and not me, because I wouldn't have had a clue.
So that's right. I probably said it wrong.
It's better than what I would have said. All I can see is what's on paper. So yeah, she's been a bit stiff actually. I mean, like a lot of girls, like Lulu Puller, have been a bit unlucky this year as well. But that's what comes with success on the field, I guess. Yeah, you can't make too many changes. Now I asked you this off air. Now we do have some big forwards in Kate Sheila, Talia Randall, and now Vicky Wall. Do you get matched up on them at training much, or no?
Yes, I did let you in on my secret off there as well. Unfortunately, I actually play the deepest defender, so a lot of the time I actually get to play behind those ladies, and I don't get the big knees coming through and them the big lead up forwards. So I've learnt my lesson that you stand behind them instead in front of them. But no, we try and challenge ourselves and play on different players, because I think, again, like we've spoken about, our forwards, they're all slightly different. They have different strengths, which is what's made us so potent this year. So it's really important that as a backline we play on different types of forwards to challenge ourselves, because obviously other teams have different lead up forwards, tall forwards, small forwards. So it's good to challenge yourself. But yeah, there's some hard matchups at training. Personally, I think the defenders always win, but the forwards are probably going to argue a fair bit with that. But no, it's a really competitive environment, and we do really try and challenge each other and push each other to get better.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. As long as you're driving those standards, those high standards, then everyone's going to be better for it. And you can sort of see Talia Randall's just, ragdolling everyone at the moment. She's a big presence, that's for sure, up forward. And we can't disregard the midfield as well. I know we talk about Jazz Gardner and Ash Riddell. We can't talk about them much more. They've had outstanding seasons. But Mia King has been a handy third midfielder. And Ruby Tripodi is another one that's gone in there and really stepped up, hasn't she?
Yeah, I think it's been so nice to see, I guess, firstly on Ruby, just the amount of work she put in the off season. Obviously, she was in and out of the team a bit last year as more of a small forward. So she went away in the off season and put a lot of work into her kind of endurance, her speed, so she could try and get a bit of a crack in that midfield. And it was so nice to see her rewarded with obviously a game in round one in the midfield. And then she's just grown again from there. She, I think, complements Jazz and Ash really, really well in terms of she can get the ball and win the ball in and under. And that probably leads then to Mia really nicely as well. I think Mia is one of the toughest midfielders going around. And I think that's somewhat underestimated when obviously you see Jazz and Ash's numbers, which again, they are fantastic players, but obviously Mia just absolutely loves to be in and under. I think she's one of those more midfield bulls, loves the contest, loves the tackle, and her pressure that she brings in that midfield is elite as well. And I guess leads out to those wingers as well. I think our wingers have come a big way again this year. And obviously wings are an underestimated role in most teams, but even in our team as well, that their ability to run their patterns, come forward to pressure. I guess Gaddy and Ricky getting confused with them running on the wing as well and how much meters gain they get. So it's been nice to see the midfield as a whole just really improve this season.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also that second tier, like you talked about, just below the top tier. And it's probably almost disrespectful to call them a second tier. I mean, you talk about Elise O'Loughlin, Taylor Gatt, Tess Craven, Bella Eddy, and the list goes on. And it's a big reason why we have really taken this team to another level this year.
Yeah, I think some of those younger players coming through are really, really starting to challenge those, again, those more top tier players that have been in the competition for a while. And it's so nice to see them just growing and improving every single year. I think obviously when you come in as a young player, it does take like a little bit to kind of adjust to the speed of play and I guess, yeah, the strength of the bodies that you're coming up against. So obviously those first couple seasons, it's just about them learning and trying to make sure that they bring the best of themselves. And I think it's so nice for them now to see that reward and to be obviously noticed externally as well. It's so nice for them to start to get some of those accolades and people noticing the work that they've put in those first couple seasons to now come out in their third and fourth seasons to be having a big impact. It's just really nice reward for those younger players that do a lot of work behind the scenes early on.
Yeah, you can sort of tell that. I mean, Taylor Gatt just took her game to another level. I mean, I think she was in year 12 the first year she came down, so it makes a big difference. She would have had a full pre-season, and Tess Craven's taken her game to another level, floating between halfback and the wing. So it's there's a lot of good talent on that list, that's for sure. Now, Jazz, I don't want to hold you up much longer. You've been very generous with your time today, but I'd like doing player comps between two players when I get AFLW guest on. So I'm going to choose you and Sarah Wright. Mm-hmm. So, Jazz, in your respective careers, who has taken the most marks in a game?
Oh, I'm probably going to have to go right. He's probably taken more in a game, but I would say it's a result of my work. I would say that I'm holding my player down or blocking them out, and then she gets to take the nice, pretty mark. So you're probably going to have to give her the award, but I will happily take the groundwork to give her that award. And we did used to have a Golden Fist award, which she probably won as well. But again, I would like to say it's my communication for her to spoil and whatnot. So I'll give myself a little bit of credit, but she can have the trophy.
Well, it was very close, and she's just got you by one. She had 9 against the West Coast Eagles in round 10, 2022. It's where Ash Riddell had 40 possessions in that game. I don't remember if you remember that. You had 8 against Carlton in round 2, 2023.
Very close.
Yeah. But who has laid more tackles in a game between you two?
Oh, we're probably not both known for our tackles to be great.
You'd be surprised. It's actually quite high considering you're both defenders.
Oh, I might back myself. Try and give me myself maybe. Well, maybe I got more than her in one game when the ball was coming down there a fair bit. But yeah, I'd be unsure on the number. Maybe like 5 in a game or something.
Well, you had 6 against the Swans this year, only a few weeks ago, and Sarah Wright has got 5 against the Crows a couple of weeks ago. So
there we go.
Yeah. So you got her there. Last one, and who has the most meters gained in a game? This is very close as well.
Oh, I would probably give it to her, and I would have said she would have probably had a bit of a margin on me on that one. I think she's her offensive game has gone to another level this year, which has been really nice for her. And I guess against some of the games this season, I haven't had a lot of offensive looks, but yeah, I would probably say Righty has that one on me, and hopefully by not too many meters, but I would say yes, she can have that one as well.
She had 198 in that game against West Coast. You had 193 in that Carlton game. Oh, you might get 200. You got to aim for that 200 plus this week. So
first one at 200 plus. We'll see. We'll have a race for it.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. Well, Jazz, that's all I have for you. Do you want to add any final messages for all our loyal supporters out there?
Just to hopefully get excited for finals. As we've spoken about, it was a fantastic season, and then we are striving to go one better, and we would love as much support as possible. So as many Roos supporters want to come down, watch us. We're at Icon Park this week on Friday night against Adelaide, and hopefully we've got a couple of weeks ahead of us that we can play. And depending on obviously how the finals go, hopefully maybe a Melbourne Grand Final. Trying to get too far ahead of myself now, but yes, hopefully we can just get as much support as possible down to these games. We are super, super excited, and we're obviously in a pretty good position after a good home and away season. So just get down, come and support us, come and watch. Yeah,
no, that's a very good message, and it does make a difference, doesn't it? I mean, getting that support, it makes a big difference. Like you can see it in the, when you're out in the ground, you can feel the roar and the emotion of the supporters.
Yeah, you do use it as a bit of momentum. I think when you get on a bit of a run and you can hear the crowd getting behind you, it really does give you that bit of an extra boost. And I think during finals, when there's so much pressure in the heat of the game, you get pretty tired pretty quickly. And if you just have that crowd to almost boost you along, it helps you kind of run on adrenaline in those last couple of quarters, and hopefully the game goes your way.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it will. We'll see how we go. But Jazz, thanks so much for coming on. Good luck in the finals this week and going forward. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on, and go Roos.
Thank you very much for having me. I'll go hang up my washing now, but yes, thank you. Go Roos.
It sounds good. It's a good day for it, so I'll dry very quickly. And thank you to all you lovely listeners as well for tuning in on YouTube today. Like and subscribe, leave comments, push that notification bell as well. I'll be back probably later this week. Game review of the Crows game Friday night. Look out for that. Bye for now, and go Roos. No, thanks, Jaz. Thanks for coming on. Sorry, I probably held you up a little longer than I thought, so